What's up, everybody? This is Chris Sarai bringing another edition of the Car Concierge Show, the show that helps with the buying, selling, maintaining, and repairing of your vehicle. On today's show, we're going to talk about EV mandates and tariffs and Trump, the basic, platform that we talk about when it comes to these cars in this new era. We're going to talk about how Canada is deciding with the new tariffs that Trump is putting on them up to upwards of 25%, that they in tune are going to put some tariffs on us, tariffs of money that we already owed them. And they're also deciding that they're going to put their foot down on some automakers that already promised them some money. Then after that, we're going to talk about some EV mandates as the EPA is deciding that it is going to slowly but surely get rid of all of the Biden administration's EV mandates that they put in effect. And last but not least, speaking of EVs, we're going to head over to the White House as President Trump decides he's going to buy himself an EV. Let's jump right in. We're going to first talk about Canada and their decisions when it comes to these tariffs that Trump is putting on them. And of course, we're going to go to our favorite place to get automotive news, Automotive News. And today we're going to head over to Automotive News Canada. Canada demands automakers honor planned investments despite tariffs. So they're going to get their money one way or another, is what they're saying. And this is by Greg Layson, and this is from March 12th, which would be today. Innovation, Science, and Industry Minister Francois-Philippe Champon said that despite all the tariff turmoil, the government of Canada plans to ensure automakers honor their investments and commitments to the country. Make no mistake, we're already on their backs, said Champagne, while announcing retaliatory tariffs against U.S. levies on Canadian steel and aluminum alongside Finance Minister Dominique LeBlanc and Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly in Ottawa March 12th. We're going to be watching like hawks what will happen to the auto sector because this is a core industry for the prosperity of this country. See, the automotive industry is very important to most countries. It's the backbone. Literally, we used to always say that the car is the second most expensive thing you buy in your life. And that, in most cases nowadays, that's probably not true. But for a long time, that's just the way it was. Automakers have pledged more than $40 billion in electric vehicle investment in Canada since 2020. That includes everything from battery factories to assembly to battery materials plants. But Ford recently changed course at its Oakville assembly plant southwest of Toronto, will now build full-size pickups. Stellantis paused the retooling of its Brampton assembly plant west of Toronto, where it was to build the next generation of the Jeep Compass. Meanwhile, Volkswagen subsidiary PowerCo has done little other than level land when it comes to getting its $7 billion EV battery plant off the ground in St. Thomas, Ontario, midway between Toronto and Windsor. And Swedish company Northvolt, which has planned an EV battery plant 25 kilometers east of Montreal, announced on March 12th that it had filed for bankruptcy in Sweden. Yeah, that's another story I'm probably going to do later. Northvolt was that company that they're really relying on competing with the BYDs and the other Chinese companies that are building EV batteries. And they had moved their factory over to Sweden, and now they filed in bankruptcy. It's crazy. We're going to make sure that they abide by the terms of every single agreement we have with them to make sure we protect the jobs, Champagne said. The reason they came to Canada is because we have the best workers, because Canadians have been there for them, and we have an integrated supply chain. We're going to fight for the auto sector every single day, said Champagne. Canadians have been there for the auto sector for decades. These companies, most of them, have long-standing commitments to this country. Without naming names, Champagne said he spoke with union and automaker executives on March 11th. Unifor, which represents about 24,000 auto workers in Canada, wasn't immediately available for comment. However, the union responded to U.S. President Donald Trump's threat that Canada-made vehicles will face tariffs beginning April 2nd, and his assertion that the United States will essentially permanently shut down the automobile manufacturing business in Canada. America does not have a monopoly on auto production, Unifor President Lena Payne said in a statement. Canada has been manufacturing vehicles for over a century, and we are the largest Detroit 3 purchasing market outside of the U.S. These are our jobs, and we will defend them with everything we have. You sell here, you must also build here. Ain't that what we trying to do? Whoa! These are our jobs, our Canadian jobs, and we will defend them with everything we have. You sell here, you must also build here. That is exactly to a T what Trump is trying to do to rebuild America, is to make sure that countries that are selling to our American people are buying from us, are building with us, are working with us. Something that is reciprocal for us. We're sick and tired of being the people putting out the money but not receiving any money. And that has to stop, specifically with the automotive industry. This is what has crushed the American automotive industry. The desire to get cheap parts from China to build these cars, the desire to get the cars themselves from China that are cheap or just less expensive than the cars we make here. This has literally destroyed the U.S. automotive industry in a nutshell. Let's keep going. Meanwhile, it's unclear whether Northvolt, North America's EV battery plant project in Quebec, will proceed after the parent company filed for bankruptcy. It won't. The company's Canadian subsidiary said Northvolt AB underwent an exhaustive effort to secure a viable financial and operational future, but was ultimately unsuccessful. Northvolt North America says it remains solvent and intends to honor its obligations, including towards its employees. Its battery plant project, dubbed Northvolt 6, aims to churn out battery cells and cathode active material for electric vehicles. Spokeswoman Emmanuel Lard-Moreau would not confirm that construction on the project will move ahead as part of Northvolt North America's commitment to honor obligations. She said any decision regarding the subsidiary will be made by the court-appointed trustee of Northvolt AB together with the group's lenders at the appropriate time. Champagne said the federal government is helping to save the plant, calling the bankruptcy a short-term financial situation. When it comes to Northvolt, I understand people's legitimate concern, he said. We are in discussion to see if we can find a solution. We're working hard on finding partnerships. I've always said that Northvolt factory in Quebec is very important. The profitability of Northvolt goes via the factory here because North America is the biggest market. We are the biggest market. We're having discussions in the background to see if we can find a party that is interested in taking over the factory. We are working in order to see how we can preserve the factory within Quebec. Bloomberg previously reported that Northvolt was in talks with Chinese battery makers, including contemporary Ambrx Technology Company Limited. See, the world's largest manufacturer of electric car batteries, a Sweden newspaper reported. See, they're going to sell out to a Chinese company. That is going to defeat the whole purpose. Even for Canada, that's going to defeat the whole purpose. Champagne was asked by a reporter on March 12th if assistance from China is on the table. Excuse me. I want to be very clear. The answer is no, he said. We need to have a transatlantic partner and a European ally who is a leader when it comes to electric car batteries. Now, why did he say that? He literally said that because of Trump and the tariffs. He wants to make it known to the people that they're moving away from Canada. Let's face it. Trump's tariffs, Trump's actions, everything Trump's doing is putting a foot stomp on things that are happening around the world, and everything's changing. He is literally, and we have to truly understand, people. We have to truly understand that these tariffs are an extreme negotiation tactic. It's an extreme negotiation tactic that has been working successfully ever since he started the whole tariff situation. He has gotten the Mexican and Canadian in places to secure up their borders to stop drugs and illegal immigration. So many ultimate changes have been made because of the tariffs. I mean, think about it. The companies are deciding that they're moving away from building in certain places. Companies have, Honda is building that huge plant in Indiana. All these things are because of Trump and his tariffs and his negotiation tactics and the way he's running the country. And for the automotive industry, these things are excellent. They're giving us jobs. They're building us factories in Indiana. They're bringing everything that we need back to America. And that's all I care about. I mean, that's what's important to me is the American people. Make sure my family in the Midwest have jobs when they need jobs. Making sure my friends all across the U.S. are having the ability to make the money they need to feed their families. And that's been hard for a couple of years because of the destruction of the automotive industry. I know too well. I've been in the automotive industry pretty much my whole life. And I love it. I mean, I've always loved it. In fact, from the factories, from the dealerships I worked at, and everyone. And there's so many people that work in the automotive industry. There's so many phases and parts of the automotive industry that we use and that people work in to survive and support their families. So my whole thing is that all of the things that I am seeing that Trump do when it comes to the automotive industry seem to be working, seem to be bringing jobs back, seems to be bringing opportunity back, and ultimately bringing money back to the U.S. people. So let's keep going. We're going to keep on this same slope, as it were. And we're going to talk about the Trump administration when it comes to EVs and the Biden administration's EV mandates. Let's check out a story, of course. I want to go back. All right, so that reads, Trump halted federal funding for EV chargers and plans to cancel up to $7,500 in EV tax credit. Now, the Biden administration was truly trying to push us into a electric vehicle world. All the mandates, specifically California, all of the ideas that we should be completely driving electric vehicles by 2035, and I think it started off at like 2029, and just trying to get rid of all carbon emission vehicles, which is just ridiculous anyway. But it was forced upon us to some degree, and that's what these, the federal funding, it was, I mean, it's if you want to really truly get away from carbon emission vehicles and the like, it's going to take extremely longer than that. There's you're definitely going to have those people that are just going to resist because they're not ready to move on. Most people don't. A good percentage of people just don't like change, and it should have been a slower process of going from carbon gas powered vehicles to hybrid vehicles, which was a mix of the gas and electric, then to electric, and you probably have a smoother process of it. But the Biden administration was trying to force it down our throats to some degree, and which, trying to make the cost of these vehicles cheaper with the EV credits and all the federal funding to keep, for you to purchase a charger for your home and all these other things. But it just wasn't working because electric vehicles are still expensive no matter what EV tax credits you have. Of course, here in California, I do see a lot of Teslas and Lucids, Polestars on the road. It's California, so we're going to see a lot of those things. But the average Joe standardly can't afford a Tesla. The average Joe is not the guy driving around in a Tesla right now. And that's really what these EV mandates and the idea was with all these federal funding and these tax credit was that everybody would have the opportunity to buy these EV vehicles. And it's just not the case because with the markups that these vehicles have gotten, the price gouging when it comes to the sale of automotive vehicles is making all of these tax credits and all this funding obsolete and not very useful, because even with those, and mind you, all of these tax credits and all these fundings, they have loopholes. You have to make a certain amount of money, or you have to have a certain credit rating and all these other things that you have to have before you can even get these EV tax credits. So they weren't helping in the first place. So to get rid of them is not really that big a deal, but it is a big deal when it comes to the Biden administration's desire to force us into an EV world in the near future. Let's keep going. See, Stellantis still has a good percentage of their vehicles that are gas powered, so they would, praise that. The EV market, hurt Stellantis majorly, because Stellantis doesn't have very many EV vehicles, and the EV credits and the federal funding that the EV purchasers was getting, that was hurting Stellantis because it was taking a lot of their market share away, for people to buy Teslas and other EV vehicles that Stellantis doesn't have in their repertoire. So, that's just a good reason why they would think it's a good idea. But it's their fault because they made all their cars so expensive that, people can use these EV credits to buy EV cars that are slightly cheaper than, the cars from Stellantis. Because the price is just so jacked up, so high. $100,000 for a truck is just ridiculous. It's definitely going to affect future competitiveness, because without those EV mandates, it's not going to be having that many people buying these cars, because a good majority of those people were buying the cars because they were getting these credits if they were people who applied for them and had all of the credentials that would allow them to get the credits. So, in that case, if they're not getting that credit, they're not saving that money, they're going to look elsewhere, and they're going to look at other vehicles, specifically if they're really looking at it because of the price, then they're going to look all around, and they're going to find vehicles that are not electric vehicles that are going to be cheaper. And they're going to go with those vehicles because price is extremely important these days, extremely important, no matter what kind of vehicle it is, unless you're a rich man. UAW now want to work with Trump? Okay. And that was, see, let's read this. The executive order also targets California's authority to ban gas-only vehicle sales by 2035, affecting standards adopted by multiple states. See, and this is probably one of the big reasons that Trump and others was so against the EV mandates and all of the Biden administration EV policies, and Governor Gavin Newsom's ideas on making California one of the first states to be completely electric vehicle and carbon emission free, blah blah blah. And nobody was going 2035. You expected to not have no gas-powered vehicles on the road. That just sounds ridiculous. There's still going to be people who can't afford EV vehicles, who don't have their homes that they can get an EV charger and hook up to so they can charge their EV vehicles. We don't have the EV charging infrastructure here to do this. We don't have, see, and that's another thing. You're going to have to definitely, for something like this to occur, you'd have to definitely have a massive EV charging station infrastructure in California. You'd have to have as many EV charging stations as you have gas stations, to the point where you'd be getting rid of gas stations because they are saying that they want to ban gas-only vehicles. What is going to happen to all the gas stations if you ban all the gas-only vehicles? Are they going to turn into EV charging stations? Is that going to be profitable for the gas station owners? See, there's so many problems in line of this situation, or this idea that you want to ban gas-only vehicles by a certain date, that it's just going, it's not feasible. It's not going to be, it's not planned out. It's not going to be profitable for a lot of people. It's going to cause so many problems. So this was getting rid of that was a necessity. A necessity. All right, so good quick video. Let's real quick, we're gonna read the automotive news article about Trump's administration takes aim at Biden electric vehicles. Talk about a little bit more, and then I'm going to talk about Trump, and we're going to get y'all out of here. All right, of course, automotive news. Trump administration takes aim at Biden electric vehicle rules. And this was from David Sherpson and from Reuters, March 12th. The Environmental Protection Agency said on March 12th it is starting efforts to reverse the Biden administration's vehicle emissions rules that would force automakers to build a rising number of electric vehicles. The action is the latest in the Trump administration's sweeping moves to undo the prior administration's efforts to prod automakers to build electric vehicles after rescinding a push to make EVs at least 50% of new vehicles by 2030. The EPA said it would reconsider the agency's 2024 rules that would cut passenger vehicles' fleet-wide tailpipe emissions nearly 50% by 2032, compared with 2027 projected levels. The EPA has forecast that between 35% and 56% of new vehicles sold between 2030 and 2032 would need to be electric in order to comply, and has won support from Ford Motor. The EPA said it's also reconsidering a 2022 regulation aimed to drastically cut smog and soot-forming emissions from heavy-duty trucks, saying the rules make trucks more expensive. See, that's the problem. Everything's going to be more expensive if you force people to buy something, because it's going to be a lot of price gouging because people are going to know you're going to be forced to buy from them. The 2022 standards are 80% more stringent than prior standards, and the agency estimated the rule would result in up to 2,900 fewer premature deaths annually, 1.1 million fewer lost school days for children, and $29 billion in annual net benefits. Okay. The EPA in February submitted that Biden administration approval for California's landmark plan to end the sale of gasoline-only vehicles by 2035 to Congress for review and possible repeal, but a government agency said last week the decision is not reviewable. Congress separately has considered efforts to repeal EV tax credits. In January, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy moved to rescind fuel economy standards issued under Biden that aim to drastically reduce fuel use for cars and trucks. He has also frozen funding to states for EV charging. Dang. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in June said it would hike corporate average fuel economy requirements to about 50.4 miles per gallon, 4.67 liters per 100 kilometers, by 2031 from 39.1 miles per gallon currently for light-duty vehicles. Duffy also directed NHTSA to reconsider rules for heavy-duty pickup trucks and vans through 2035. NHTSA said in June the rule for passenger cars and trucks would reduce gasoline consumption by 64 billion gallons through 2050 and cut emissions by 659 million metric tons. It said while some vehicles would be more expensive to buy, consumers would save on fuel costs and estimated net benefits of 35.2 billion. I highly doubt that. That's not how most people are going to see it, and that's not how they're going to purchase it. It's not, people are not going to see or think about the added savings or all of that. They're going to think about the change of it They're going to just think about the cost of the vehicle. That's what's going to be on their minds, and that's what they're going to make their decisions are based around. And what's new against what they're used to, what's more expensive than what's new, expensive, and I got to learn. It's a catch-22 for a lot of people, and it's just one of those situations where, it's going to be extremely hard for people who don't like change to change over to EV vehicles in 10 years. So we'll see what happens. All right, last but not least, talking about EV vehicles, we had a little Trump sighting, and he was at the White House deciding he was going to purchase himself of an EV vehicle. Now, who do you think he was buying an EV vehicle from? You don't need that many guesses. So let's check out the story, and then we'll react afterwards.
It isn't your average car showroom.
Should I get in?
Get in!
But Donald Trump isn't your average customer. He had his choice of models
That's beautiful.
when Tesla rolled onto the world's most famous driveway.
Everything's computer.
I mean, how many people here have lost your jobs because of Elon Musk?
We asked federal workers sacked by Elon Musk what they thought of the president's purchase.
I become unaccountably angry every time a Tesla drives by now.
How do you express that anger?
Internally.
The president is asking people to buy Tesla cars right now. What's your response to that?
Absolutely not. I will never buy a Tesla car.
The Tesla brand is bearing the brunt of protest.
We just went through a whole spiel on how the government itself is forcing you to buy EV vehicles, and knowing that Tesla is pretty much one of the most popular available EV vehicles, you're just going, I'm not buying no Tesla. This dude got me fired. I get it. No, I get it.
Over Musk's influence, violent attacks on vehicles, forecourts, and charging stations.
Wow.
Trump says he'll label it domestic terrorism.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's why we don't live in a civilized world anymore. We probably never did. But I mean, Tesla itself, these people's cars, more about that. These people's cars, these cars at these dealerships, them cars, they didn't do nothing to you. I'm sorry that you lost your job at USAID or whatever situation, but them people didn't do nothing to you. Destroying a Tesla, if it makes you feel better, there's something wrong with you. Because Tesla didn't do nothing to you. I mean, it's hard to even say that Elon Musk did something to you, but Tesla and a Tesla vehicle that you see on the street that you set on fire, or some, Tesla EV charging station that you set on fire, you vandalized, those things didn't do anything to you. You could do way more productive things if you wanted to prove a point about how bad Elon Musk is and what Donald Trump and the Trump administration is allowing Elon Musk to do with the government. But destroying people's property is just a whack way to go.
When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do, when you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them. I'm
going to push back a little bit on this one. I don't know how. I know there's, Tesla does employ a lot of people here, but Tesla does have factories over other countries, so Tesla will be dealing with tariffs. So, as long as Elon's cool with that and everybody else is cool with that, bringing more Tesla jobs over to America would be my idea and goal, but we just gotta keep monitoring this stuff.
We got a lot of cameras up. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them.
Tesla stock has lost half its value in 3 months. Its share price tanked to an all-time low this week. The White House attempting to shore it up with a seal of approval. It's quite something for Tesla that it's now able to list the President of the United States among its car salesmen, with Donald Trump urging Americans to buy this make in support of what he calls Elon's baby. And some need no persuasion to buy a car from the richest man in the world.
I'm a federal employee myself, but I do have to separate the fact that as a vehicle, the car just does make sense.
Elon is the CEO, but Tesla is a large company that employs thousands of people, and they make great
Facts.
cars here in the United States.
Facts.
And I think people should just leave it at that.
There's much debate about who's really in the driving seat, the president or the man by his side most days. For now, at least, their relationship seems invincible.
This is bulletproof.
And which model did he choose?
The one I like is that one. And I want that same color.
All right.
David Blevins, Sky News, in Washington.
All right, so all that was a big commercial for Tesla. And I think what it really is just reciprocity. I think this is Trump trying to help Elon Musk in the sales of his Tesla. Let's face it, Tesla stock is down. Everybody is hating Elon Musk right now because of the Doge situation and all the lost jobs. So Tesla's taking a hit. So this is just a big old commercial that President Trump decided he was going to do for Elon Musk because of what Elon Musk is doing for him. I mean, Elon Musk is not getting paid for the Doge situation. Elon Musk is not getting any reciprocation from the U.S. for what he's doing to help us. And of course, it's all up to you if you believe that what he's doing is helping or not. But we just not. He's not getting paid whatsoever for what he's doing. He's losing time. He's not spending time working with his companies and helping build those up because, hey, he's helping the government fix itself. So it's just one of those things where this is President Trump just reciprocating. This is just a big old commercial, and the worst thing is that all of Trump's opponents or people who are against Trump are going to play this and talk about what he did, and it's just going to still be a big old commercial even to their supporters. That's just what it is. This is just an opportunity for President Trump really to help Elon Musk. Now, if we go back to the last story, it's crazy that the EPA is going after EV mandates and the federal government is pulling back on providing EV charging stations, all these things, on the same day pretty much that President Trump is buying a Tesla. So it's like one of them situations, where a girl would come by and pick you up for you to hang out with her, and then her homies will run through your house and rob you while you showing them around or having a good time with them. It's kind of like that, sort of. He's out here at the White House and they're showing Teslas and Elon is there showing him these Tesla models and helping him to buy a Tesla, while on other side of the world or in other places the EPA is attacking EVs. So I don't think that Elon Musk sees the EV mandates or the loss of the EV mandates or these things affecting Tesla. I think he really doesn't care. Elon Musk is not one of those owners that cares about what other people think, and he doesn't seem to truly cares about the profitability or financial profitability of Tesla. I know he cares about his Tesla employees and he wants them to keep jobs. So this is probably, with all of the loss that he's gotten since he's taken on the Doge situation, this is just a way for the president to reimburse him without financially paying him for all he's done by doing a commercial out in front of the White House about Teslas. And that's definitely going to help sell some Teslas for Elon Musk. All right, guys, I'm going to let y'all go and get up out of y'all. It's a beautiful day. And I wanted to talk to y'all. I had a great weekend. We was at the Salina Street Low Car Show. So really go check out those videos. We got the car hop video up. If you want to see the full video of the whole day, probably going to end up putting that on Rumble. But we do have a preview video on YouTube, so go check that out. Really, some really hot women and some hot cars and lots of fun. Lots of great artists Got to see Boogie Madoff perform. Who else was out there? Big Tone, Troubles, Mike Quinn. It's just a great show out at Salinas at the Sports Complex. Just a great time. We had a great time. So check those videos out on our YouTube and on Instagram. And I think we got some on Facebook as well. I'm going to put the pictures up. The pictures are awesome. So we'll be putting the pictures up on Facebook, and we'll probably do like a slideshow picture for YouTube so y'all can check it out as well. So as always, thank you for tuning into the show. Please like, share, subscribe. Hit me in the DMs if you have any questions. Cash at me, help me support the show. We're going to get some new equipment in here, get some new cameras, and we're going to do it up in here. So I'm your boy Chris Surratt. Thank you for tuning into the show, and I'm out. Peace.